Yes, hi there, Adriana. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you have paid for the additional service as one of my online students to have all the Speak Clearly lessons scored. Also, you can post 3 TOEFL speaking practice tests per day for 6 months. So anyway, let's take a look at what you did today. So if I'm looking at it correctly, you have posted 3 different independent speaking practice tests. So the first one, the question is, would you prefer to study in classes or a course that assigns homework on a daily basis, or to study in a class or course that gave no homework at all? So either you want homework or you don't, right? So you're going to take a position. Let's hear what you have to say.
I prefer to study in classes that assign homework daily because this reinforces the lessons that I've already learned and helps me build my work ethic. Firstly, having homework every day is useful to review what I've learned in previous classes. For example, during high school, I did my homework for each and every class. As a result, I always had good grades, which helped me get a scholarship. Secondly, giving homework daily makes students hard workers. For instance, during my childhood, homework was my only responsibility, which helped me learn to become more diligent about my duties, which is why I prefer this type of classes. Personally,
Okay, I think that was pretty good. So let's listen to it one more time, slower. I'm going to listen to it in parts.
I prefer to study in classes that assign homework daily because this reinforces the lessons that I've already learned and helps me build my work ethic.
Good. So you have your thesis, your topic sentence, you've chose a position, you've given 2 reasons, reinforces what you learn, and helps build your work ethic. So those are 2 key points.
Firstly, having homework every day is useful to review what I've learned in previous classes. For example, during high school, I did my homework for each and every class. As a result, I always had good grades, which helped me get a scholarship.
Nice. So you state your first point, you give 2 examples to support that first point. So I think your organization so far is strong. You don't have many pronunciation problems. Maybe the word useful, it almost sounded like you used 3 syllable useful. It's useful, but still it's good. Let's keep going.
Secondly, giving homework daily makes students hard workers. For instance, during my childhood, homework was my only responsibility, which helped me learn to become more diligent about my duties, which is why I prefer this type of classes.
So which is why I prefer this type of classes. I would say these types of classes, because these is plural. You're introducing a plural count noun. Or which is why I prefer this type of class, or which is why I prefer classes which give homework regularly, might even be better. But that was good. I don't have anything really, I don't think there's any major problems with that speaking task. I'm going to give you a minimum of 26 points out of 30. I think you have addressed the task. You didn't try to discuss both or the advantages of both. You chose your position. You had your 2 arguments. Your delivery was pretty good. No major problems. I can understand everything you're saying. Very good control of your grammar and your language use. There was only the one error, the word this instead of these. That was the only error I noticed in the entire speech. And your topic development was very strong. You had a lot of good examples from your personal experience to support your ideas. So you'll get a score, a minimum score of 26 points out of 30 on this speaking practice test, or 3.3 out of 4. All right, let's go to your next speaking task. So this one says, people do many things to stay healthy. What do you do for staying healthy? I would say, what do you do to stay healthy, not for staying healthy? Usually, Adriana, we don't use a gerund, and I'm not going to say all the time, but many cases we don't use a gerund after the word for. So I want to ask you, It's important to start with the stereotype, like personally speaking, or in my view, or from my perspective. This is a good question. You're asking me a question here saying, from my perspective, in my view, personally speaking, I would avoid anything that sounds like a stock answer. A stock answer is, it sounds like you've memorized a certain template to answer the question. If it's something that a lot of people are doing and you think many people are doing exactly the same thing, I wouldn't do it. That's the whole reason and why, Adriana, in writing, we don't like to use idiomatic expressions too often in formal writing, because it's very common in conversational English. And in writing, we want to avoid using what's called overused expressions. For example, if I said, I am stuck between a rock and a hard place, which means I'm in a difficult situation. A rock and a hard place, probably not something you would want to use too much in writing because it's overused. I don't think using an idiom on the TOEFL speaking will hurt your score that much, but to answer your question, be careful. I don't think stereotype is the right word you want to use here, but be careful about using what's called overused or memorized type expressions that a lot of other students would use, because then it doesn't make your speech look original. You want to show that you're coming up with original, spontaneous language that not everybody else is trying to do. This is why I was telling you, I think a few weeks ago, to avoid saying I agree or disagree for several reasons. Because that's what I call a stock answer. It's a predictable response that many people will also use when they're taking the TOEFL test, and it won't make your speech look any more different than anybody else's. All right, so again, the question here is, what do you do to stay healthy?
Personally speaking, in order to stay healthy, I am used to working out on a daily basis and controlling the food that I eat. I'll start by saying that exercising is tremendously important to keep us not only in a good physical shape, but in a good mental health as well. For this reason, I've been doing jogging every morning for several years, which helps me maintain a good physical and psychological conditioning. Additionally, what we are eating and how much we are eating is essential for staying healthy. For this reason, I always take care of portion of my meals and the content of salt, sugar, and oil of my food. As you can see, these are my methods to stay healthy.
Okay, good. See, and when I'm hearing you're connecting ideas quite well, and it doesn't look like it's a speech that 1,000 other people would give. You're making it more specific, you're making it your own, and you're trying to give your own ideas to help support what you're trying to say. Now, let's listen to it one more time. I think there might be a few grammar and maybe a few delivery problems in this particular speech. So let's listen more closely.
Personally speaking, I agree that advertisements are useful because they tell us...
Now, wait a minute. I'm at the wrong one here. Hold on. Let me go back to the healthy one. Here
Personally speaking, in order to stay healthy, I am used to working out on a daily basis.
Good. So I am used to working out on a daily basis. Good grammar.
And controlling the food that I eat.
So I am used to working out and to controlling the food that I eat. Now that's what I call some good grammar right there. You're using those two gerunds after I am accustomed to working out and controlling. You could have said I am accustomed to working out and to controlling what I eat, but because you use the word to the first time and it's the same preposition the second time, you can delete it the second time.
I'll start by saying that exercising is tremendously important to keep us not only in a good physical shape, but in a good mental health.
I would say, but also in a good mental health, I would say. I would probably use the preposition. You have the not only plus prepositional phrase, but also prepositional phrase again. Let's listen to that one more time.
Not only in a good physical shape, but in a good mental health as well.
You might have said it. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong here.
Physical shape, but in a good mental health as well.
No, you did. You said, I would say, but in a good mental health. as well.
For this reason, I've been doing jogging every morning for several years, which helps me maintain a good physical and psychological conditioning.
So it helps me good physical and psychological conditioning. That's good. Good vocabulary and good control of your adjectives. You have the physical and psychological, so adjective and adjective.
Additionally, what we are eating and how much.
Let me get that last word. Hold on a minute.
Which helps me maintain a good physical and psychological conditioning.
And also, I like how you said which helps. So you're using the plural or the singular there, so you're starting to remember your grammatical word endings a little more.
Additionally, what we are eating and how much we are eating is essential for staying healthy.
Wow. What we eat and how much we eat. I'm going to say probably are there. You're using two noun clauses as subjects, right? Let's listen one more time.
Psychological conditioning. Additionally, what we are eating and how much we are eating is essential for.
I'd probably say are. So what we're eating and how much we are eating are essential because you're basically using a compound subject with two noun clauses. So maybe the verb should be are instead of is.
Staying healthy. For this reason, I always take care of portion of my meals and the content of salt.
Now that I'm not, this is where we're running into some problems right here. Let me listen to that one more time. Something about taking care of portions.
Is essential for staying healthy. For this reason, I always take care of portion of my meals and the content of salt, sugar, and oil of my food.
I don't know about that. That's where you're running into trouble. So I think you want to say something like this. You want to say, for these reasons, I am careful about the portions of my meals and the salt and oil content of my food. That might be a better way to express the idea.
As you can see, these are my methods to stay healthy.
Wait a minute.
Personally speaking, I agree that.
Hold on, there's something else. I got to listen to one more thing in that. The very end of the speech, there might have been a minor grammar error there too.
What are their future actions? Personally speaking, in order to stay healthy, these are my methods to stay healthy.
These are my what now? That's what I'm not getting.
Of my food. As you can see, these are my methods to stay healthy.
That I don't get. I'm not sure what you're saying there. I always understand what you're saying.
As you can see, these are my methods to stay healthy.
Methods. Oh, nice. I got it. You're making me work too hard. Don't do it. Let me listen to it again.
You can see, these are my methods to.
Yeah, methods. Methods. So I think it was part with the TH sound and the methods. Maybe partly word stress. So it was that last word. There was one word in there that you were having some trouble. I was having trouble understanding what you were saying, and unfortunately it was a word, the last word of the speech. You kind of ended it on a little bit of a difficult note. I'm going to put you at 24 points out of 30 on this, 3.16 out of 4. So generally, I think you're in pretty good shape. You had some minor, very minor delivery problems in this one. But and maybe you had some minor language use issues in this particular speech. Probably it would be good enough to pull it down below 26. This would probably put you at about 3.16 out of 4 on this particular practice test. All right, let's go to your next one here. What do we got, number 3? So let's see what the question is here. It says, some people say that advertising encourages us to buy things that we do not need. Others believe that they tell us about new products that may improve our lives. Which one do you agree with? Okay, so either basically advertising is good or bad, right? So either the advertising causes us to buy new things we don't need, or advertising causes us to buy new products which can improve our lives. So basically, is it a good thing or a bad thing with advertising? So let's see how you responded to this one. Okay, let me go ahead and listen to it. Again, I'm going to listen to it one time, and then I'm going to play it again on a slower pace and kind of give you some feedback in the different parts of the speech.
Personally speaking, I agree that advertisements are useful because they tell us about new products that may improve our lives. First of all, watching advertisements on TV or listening to the radio is a very good resource of information which helps us to save time and money. For example, I can find in real time what is the best and the cheapest cell phone on the market just sitting in my comfortable sofa in the living room. As a result, I can make a good decision about what cell phone I will buy without wasting my time doing any research. Second of all, advertisements keeps me up to date with my business competitors because through their ads I can find out what are their future actions.
Nice, not bad. Okay, let's go to the beginning again.
Personally speaking, I agree that advertisements are useful because they tell us about new products that may improve our lives.
All right, so you agree with the statement, and now you're going to explain why.
First of all, watching advertisements on TV or listening to the radio is a very good resource of information.
I'm going to say are good resources of information there. I'm going to use the plural there because you use two gerunds in the beginning, so you can get advertisements from TV, that's one source. You can get advertisements from radio, which is another source. So again, are good resources, I would say. So that's what's called subject-verb agreement. Very minor, not a major problem. I can still understand everything you're saying.
Which helps us to save time and money. For example, I can find in real time what is the best and the cheapest cell phone on...
Okay, wait a minute. I can find in real time what the best and cheapest cell phone is. So when you're using noun clauses, don't use the question word order, Adriana. You want to use the connector subject verb word order. For example, and not all native speakers follow this grammar rule exactly, but for example, if I said, can you tell me what time it is? Not, can you tell me what time is it? So again, when you take the question, the WH question, and you put it as a noun clause, the question turns into a statement word order. Let's listen to what you said one more time. See if you can pick up on the word order error.
I can find in real time what is the best and the cheapest cell phone on the market.
You see what I'm saying? You said what is the best and cheapest. I would say what the best and cheapest cell phone is on the market. Connector, subject, verb.
Just sitting in my comfortable sofa in the living room.
Maybe that's a pronunciation thing. Let's go back to the word comfortable.
On the market, just sitting in my comfortable sofa in the living room.
That's okay.
As a result, I can make a good decision about what cell phone I will buy.
Yes, that's exactly right. The decision about what cell phone I should buy. So your word order there is exactly right. You're using connector, subject, verb, word order.
Without wasting my time doing any research.
Good grammar without wasting my time doing any research.
Second of all, advertisements keeps me up to date with my business competitors because...
Okay, good. So it keeps you up to date with your business competitors.
Because through their ads, I can find out what are their future actions.
Now that, you some word order problems again. Wait a minute.
Without any doubt, we are celebrating birthdays each and every year. Personally speaking, I agree that ads I can find out what are their future actions.
Now wait a minute.
Without any doubt, we are celebrating birthdays each and...
Let me go back to
Personally speaking, research. Second of all, advertisements keeps me up to date with my business competitors because through their ads I can find out what are their future actions.
I think you said what are their future actions, right? You want to say what their future actions are.
Personally speaking, I can find out what are their future actions.
Yeah, right. So, okay, so this is a pattern here. So you used noun clauses 3 times in the speech. Twice your word order is not good, but one time it is. So you're still working on this particular grammar concept. So what you want to remember is noun clauses need to have statement, not question word order. For example, can you tell me where my friend is? I'm not going to say, can you tell me where is my friend? again, I'll say, can you tell me where my friend is? Now, the only other thing is, at the very beginning of the speech, let me go to your thesis again.
Personally speaking, I agree that advertisements are useful because they tell us about new products that may improve our lives. First of all, watching advertisements.
Now, based on that, you're saying that they tell us about products that improve our lives, but the last part of your speech, you talk about keeping up to date with your competitors. More of a business thing. So you maybe need to revise that topic statement. You might say, let's listen to it one more time.
Personally speaking, I agree that advertisements are useful because they tell us about new products that may improve our lives.
And help keep us up to date with our competitors in business. You might modify your topic statement just a little bit so that it allows for you to discuss that second idea that you did in the second part of the speech. Right? You see what I'm saying? Okay, let's go back to the score itself. So you had some minor grammar errors, but I think your control of vocabulary was very strong. I think you had pretty good topic development. Maybe the last idea, keeping up to date with your competitors, that idea, you probably didn't illustrate that very well with examples, but you spent a lot of time on the first point, and you developed your first idea, I think, pretty well. So I don't know, 26 maybe. I'm going to just put you at 3.16 out of 4 in this one, 24 points out of 30 based on some of the reasons that I just gave you in that particular speech. Anyway, good to hear from you. Keep up the good work, and it looks like as I give you feedback, if I mention anything about grammar, you might want to write it down and go to Google. For example, today I brought up the idea of what's called subject-verb agreement, and I also talked about noun clauses. These are kind of two things that you were having some minor problems with in your speech. So now it's a pretty good idea for you to do a little bit of study in those areas, and then make sure when you're speaking you pay attention to those things a little bit more maybe this week than you did last week.